Happy to welcome you back to the Manny Diaz Show. Joe Zagacki, Don Bailey Jr., University of Miami head coach Manny Diaz. And the poet doesn't write a story just one time. So a long way to go in the season, coach. And a lot of things, a lot of chapters still to go, and a lot of goals out there that can be achieved.
Oh, that's absolutely right. Well, first we have 3 non-conference games all at home, which I think will be huge for us, to get on a roll, get on track before we get into the league. You got a league schedule, you got an ACC Coastal Division that has been hard to get at this school, right? I mean, that's still the goal, is to get to Charlotte in December. That's been something we talk about all off season. I think about this time last year, early last season, Texas A&M played Alabama. Alabama beat them by 30 points.
Right.
And by the end of the year, A&M was the first team left out in the playoff. So it's all there to play for. If this team does what Texas A&M, to use them as an example a year ago, what they did, which they just got better week in, week out, from that point on, they remember November. And I think that's important. We want to be playing our best ball in November, and these 3 games at home, give us a chance to get on track.
Coach, one thing I noticed about this team is they gave you, our team, the Miami Hurricanes, gave you 60 minutes.
Yeah.
They really did, and I can't say that that's always been the fact every single game over the last 20 some odd years, but they gave you 60 full minutes, every single one of them.
Yeah, and the sideline was good. I mean, if you watch Alabama, and I've been in these games before, in the fourth quarter where they're just going to put you in a headlock and just, they're going to run the ball and just, get after you. And the way our guys were spiking through gaps, making plays in the backfield, 4th down stops, 3rd down stops in those situations, just playing with the physicality, that to me meant that they wanted to play for each other. That's what it's all about, the bond between the team, and I think that's something really to build on.
With that bond, how important is it that you do have a good locker room?
Well, it's humongous, but that's the whole point of this team coming back. Mm-hmm. That's the point of our veteran leadership. These teams are always different, and it's easy to say, well, this one thing happened in the past, therefore it will happen again. It's different. This is a different locker room. You could see it by the way that the guys came back into the building on Sunday. Yeah, they're hurt. We're all hurt. But you don't throw it away for one bad day. There's too much work that's been done with these guys. They're too close to their goals and what they want to see of this team is all still attainable, and they're going to do what it takes to achieve it.
Man, they got a lot to play for. If anybody was at the game and you did the cane walk into the stadium, and you saw all those Hurricane fans there, and then we run out onto the field and the support that you have, I got to applaud all the people that came to that game and all the people that supported this group of young men, because they were there in full force.
Yeah, the cane walk was very emotional.
Wasn't it?
For our guys. And when we came inside the stadium afterwards, some guys, I was like, well, now you know what it's like to be a Miami Hurricane.
Yeah.
But that was still kind of the appetizer. I mean, really coming home now and seeing Hard Rock, and hopefully we have a cane walk at Hard Rock, and just coming out in the stadium and the whole deal. It's just, I want those guys to feel what that's like. I want them to feel our home support. I want them to see the West End Zone crowd in there. I just want them to see all the fans, and that's what college ball is all about. I think that's what we saw the first weekend all over the country. Without the fans, it's just an exhibition. It's just, the fans make the sport, and we can't wait to be in front of ours.
Well, that gets us to the game this Saturday. It's a night game, 7 o'clock game, perfect for Hurricanes and Hurricane fans, and a very worthy opponent. This is a team, App State, they've won 65, 66 games since 2015. They've had 9+ wins in 6 straight years, so they've kind of built a winning culture with their program.
Yeah, they expect to win. And you can see that. It doesn't matter who the head coach has been. It's almost baked into the culture in that school. They're going to play with great toughness. They've always find 5 tough offensive linemen that are very athletic. They can run that outside zone, and they're going to get after you. I mean, from start to finish. They can find a good back to run behind those guys, and then they've got really talented wideouts. I think what's very unusual this year, all around college ball, like with us, we've got our little batch of super seniors. They have 14 super seniors. They're a very, very old team. It's basically last year's team back in its entirety minus a couple guys, very similar to us. So you got a team that's won conference championships. They've been in big settings. This team 2 years ago beat North Carolina and South Carolina. All these guys that will play on Saturday, they were all a part of those teams that won those games. So they will not be intimidated to come into Hard Rock, and they won't be intimidated to see us line up across from them.
Coach, their quarterback, Chase Bryce, spent 3 years at Clemson. We faced him last year at Duke, and he does not look like the same guy that I saw last year. Very efficient against East Carolina, looked very comfortable. They moved him around well, and this offense, as you mentioned, looks like it just is suited for him.
Yeah, it is, because you're going to get favorable looks to throw the football because everything is off the run game. It's run, and then run a naked play action pass, run, throw a shot. And they get into as we talk about the Bama game, they get into a lot of manageable third downs because of, they almost have a option mentality in the way that they go about the game, and how they want to control it. So, obviously, Duke kind of got caught by the turnover bug a year ago, and they did a better job protecting it in game one here. So we know they got an experienced guy that's been around and seen a lot of things.
You mentioned their run game. The 4 receivers in the pass game have combined for 500 catches and 58 touchdowns. But that run game is the same run game pretty much you saw at Louisville, because their head coach was attached to Scott Satterfield. He was their offensive line coach, right? And it's pretty much the same style you saw when we went up to Boone a couple years ago.
That's right. Yeah, it's that outside zone, and it's a difficult play because it's very hard to replicate it the way that they run it in practice. Even if your offensive line runs outside zone, you don't quite run it the way they do it. They're a little unique in how they do it. You can't get a scout team to do it because your defensive line will just blow through the scout team. So it's what we have found, whether we went to Boone a couple years ago or the last 2 trips or the last 2 games against Louisville, it's a play that you sometimes play better as the game goes on, because as the defensive linemen get a feel for the blocks and how it's occurring, the linebackers get a feel for the reads and how it's occurring. We played it better in 19 than we did in 20 last year, but that was one of our issues. A year ago, we did play the outside zone play better against Alabama. Doesn't mean we'll play it better against App State, but that was one of the encouraging signs I saw last week against really, really good personnel and an NFL-type offensive line, because Bama tried to run outside zone on us a bunch of times. So that'll be a great challenge, because if you stop it once, you're going to get it again and again and again. You better be in the mood to play some run blocks and a tackle.
This roster of App State is full of South Florida guys, but they also got a lot of portal guys that came in to stack their numbers. But there's speed on this team, and as you mentioned, they really haven't changed a whole lot. There's been a systematic process for years there.
Yeah, what stood out to me watching the film from their opener was their defense. Very active, out of a 3-4 front. Every play they're blitzing and stunting, so they're going to be a little bit smaller, certainly than what we saw last week. But where last week they were, more stout and just going to try to, arm wrestle you to death. These guys are flying around, moving in every different direction, blitzing this guy, blitzing that guy, changing covers behind it. So it's a game that where you have to not only physically be on point, but mentally you have to be on point, because if you bust a blocking assignment, there will be a free linebacker running through on a run or a pass that can get you in a negative play and kill the drive, and you only get 11 to 12, 13 of those a game. So a play like that takes away one of your 12 opportunities to score.
They also count on being kleptomaniacs. They intercept the ball all the time. They're number 3 in the nation a year ago in interceptions. They've had over 100 over the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, and I think last year they kept people to under 50% completion percentage. So this is a good football team. They're stout. They're aggressive on defense. They attack. It'll be very important for us to create explosive plays against them, because they're a difficult team to drive the ball against, because they're just changing their stress points constantly.
And their base odd front, it seems like they spend most of their time with 3 down guys, and like you mentioned, just bringing people from every direction.
Yeah, I think they feel they have, because they are smaller, they can't just stand there and hold point on you. So they're going to move, and the whole idea of movement is they're going to try to make offensive, they're going to try to make you mentally unsure, make you play slower up front, because you're more worried about what they're going to do instead of how to do what you're going to do. And that's the advantage, but if you get on the right guys, you can also create seams and increase them in that way. And that's what I say, when the opportunity is there to get an explosive play through the run and the pass, we've got to take it. We got beat by 140 yards explosively against Alabama. We saw how important the big plays were in that game in terms of tilting it to their favor. We need to be able to do the same thing to App State on Saturday.
I thought there were a couple of guys also that are going into this game, in the last game, new to the program, that I thought accounted themselves pretty well. Ola Washone came in at right tackle, and I thought Rambo looked like a natural in a big game.
Yeah, I agree with both of those assessments. Bama's front, those guys were problems, and Justice came in, and just the way he competed, it's like there was a problem, and then all of a sudden, he came in with like the fireman with the hose and put the fire out. And really, from that point forward, we were able to function much better offensively, and we felt that going in. Look, we have more depth on offense. And that doesn't mean that Scaife and Williams and those guys won't also factor in for us down the road with different roles. But we got some guys that we can, go in there if somebody's not, having the right day. And then we talk about, you mentioned Rambo, and we felt like we would be a step above where we were at wide receiver a year ago because we brought all the guys back, our younger guys more experienced, and then bringing a guy like Rambo, which that's exactly why he was brought in to help us make plays in games like that.
Coach Andy Beauregales comes in, scores points, is effective. And while that was going on, I'm thinking to myself, this is the best education this young man can have. It's going to last him really through his whole kicking career to be in that situation where he's got to make the kicks that he did. And then, of course, our punter showed why he's one of the best in the country.
Yeah, you want to talk about, the mentality of Andres Borregales. I mean, the opening kickoff, we defer, so we're kicking off. I mean, you've seen a guy kind of shank that baton. I mean, the ball hits the back of the line of the end zone. It wasn't just a touchback. He knocked it through the back of the end zone. And then we had that sequence before halftime, 5 seconds. We had a timeout. Could have kicked there, but said, you know what? Let's practice our centering the ball play. You might need that in a game later in the year. We got the ball centered for him, so he can go out there and knock it through. We converted one later. So for him to go 2-2 and make his, PAT, what a great start to his career on that stage.
I know we're going to dive in deeper on your linebackers, but Keontre Smith played linebacker for the first time. Showed up like the third play of the game. I thought there were some times where he and Flagg really flashed.
Yeah, you notice them. I think that's the biggest key. You notice them, they pop on the field. And that's what we talked about a week ago. We feel like we're faster on defense. So you see that suddenness. I thought they did a nice job in their run fits. And made some plays in some critical situations. So a lot of confidence with those guys. But the best thing to me is that in our front seven, we played, eight guys up front and 6 guys at the linebacker level that all played, I think, around 21 snaps or more. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take us, keeping guys fresh so our fast guys can be fast and not get worn down. And the way we're able to roll through the front guys in front of them, I think, is what helped the linebackers. Again, I mentioned the linebackers in the front are always tied together, and I thought our front played a better game, and I think the backers benefited because of that.
Coach Corey Couch, again, just kind of an unsung hero every single week, a tough guy that doesn't back down in any situation.
Yeah, the word is competitor. Yeah. And it has not mattered who the opponent's been and what the situation. I mean, TC's got great self-belief, and that's it, man. He believes he can win any fight. And boy, when you're back there playing DB, sometimes back there one-on-one, you got to have that belief in yourself, and I think that's one of his great skills.
All right, well, got a good one coming up on Saturday, App State, 7 o'clock, home opener. Looking for a great crowd and great effort as well.
Saturday night, the Hard Rock, man. It's been a long time coming. I can't wait.
That's right. All right, we will continue on the show right after this.
Experience a winning combination at Williamson Cadillac with a streamlined car buying experience and an unmatched lineup of Cadillacs. From the unmistakable crossover series to the performance of our sedans, plus the original icon, the Cadillac Escalade. Williamson is Miami.
Hello, I'm the Good Greek Spiro, and I have some very exciting news. Good Greek Moving and Storage is launching our Welcome Home program. Book your next move with Good Greek and you will receive our housewarming package, which includes gift cards valued at over $1,000, along with a neighborhood guide as you discover your new favorite local businesses. For the best move ever and to receive your exclusive gift offer, visit goodgreek.com and welcome home.
Greek Moving and Storage, your superhero movers.